Hello, everybody. Welcome to Web and Beyond Live. I'm Ray Sidney Smith. I am president of W3 Consulting and managing director of W3C Web Services. And so welcome everybody to this Web and Beyond Live for August 17th, 2020. I hope you're all doing well. And this is Web and Beyond Live, which is my opportunity to have a conversation with you all about all the things that are happening in the world of digital marketing for small business. And so today I have a kind of an action-packed episode. I'm going to be trying something new in the sense that I'll be actually bringing up articles on screen, hopefully to kind of make this a little bit more interesting than just staring at me for 20 or 30 minutes. But what I wanted to do is cover the big stories of the week that I have thoughts about, and then we will get into our social media news for the month. So I try to aggregate all of the various social media updates each month into one episode, even though it'll be spattered out throughout the month, in terms of other things happening. But I try to concentrate all the kind of general updates regarding all the platforms together in one episode. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's start with, and I'm actually live streaming to Periscope now. I'm not quite sure where or how to see it myself while I'm live, but I recently added the functionality to be able to live stream to Periscope also. So hopefully those of you who are perhaps seeing me for the first time on Periscope can do so. So welcome if you're watching from Periscope or Twitter, and so that's kind of fun to have a new live stream or another platform available to where you are seeing me. So I'm looking forward to watching that back myself and just looking for feedback in terms of that new platform to live stream to. So currently, you can see me on YouTube live, you can see me on Facebook Live, and now you can see me on Twitter Live or Periscope, which is what it was formerly. Okay, so let's get into the news today, which is we have a whole bunch of things going on in the world of the COVID-19 pandemic, and I just wanted to touch base on it because it's probably important for me to keep paying attention to this, and so therefore it's important for you to be paying attention to this. In essence, a week ago, the CNBC put out this article on their small business playbook about the numbers showing a stunning reversal in the chances of Main Street's survival. And their key points in the article were that the pandemic is still going strong, unfortunately, and 64% of small business owners on Main Street are confident, I'm quoting here, are confident that they can survive for more than a year under current circumstances, according to a CNBC SurveyMonkey small business survey. Now, this is absurdly shocking to me, but it says that that's nearly double the 34% that had that view in April. I think this is because people have been seeing in the short term the numbers not necessarily changing because there has been economic stimulus. There have been these benefits that have been being given to people, and we're kind of on the end of that, right? So PPP, the EIDLs, all of those have kind of ended, and unemployment benefits have now ceased. I know that Congress is in the process of attempting to negotiate that, but they're on, as I understand it, they're on a month-long hiatus. So in that interim, what we're going to see is this huge dearth of income that would normally be put into the economy, which means that it's all going to go away, which means that now we don't have that option. So I'm a little nervous about this this very positive sentiment. I'm not out here to be a pessimist. I'm actually quite the optimist. But my big concern is that there's a little bit too much over-optimism, overconfidence in the fundamentals of the economy that are not letting us be prepared for the fact that we are in a state where we have a roiling and rolling set of pandemic, right? So the coronavirus is sporadically impacting different regions of the country and the world, and because it's happening in such a sporadic nature, it's going to have this protracted economic impact on us. We need to be very, very cautious about putting too much optimism on ourselves in terms of survival. The way in which I have read the tea leaves, the way in which I've been reading the numbers, is that the economic downturn is going to be long and hard. And that means we need to be doing everything we can to, one, pivot. If you're in retail sales, be prepared for having to pivot multiple times and adjusting to both reopening and further lockdowns and so on and so forth. For example, just this week, we see several northeastern states were on the downtick in terms of 2-week infection rates for COVID-19. For the coronavirus, that is, and yet in other parts of the country, we see stark increases. So it's different in different parts of the country, but that also means that from a supply chain issue, from an entertainment and travel perspective, we're going to see lots and lots of unknowns happening. So we can't predict what's going to happen in 3 to 4 weeks because there's just so much going on in different parts of the country, and we're all connected in that way. If a truck driver who's carrying stuff from one part of the country comes up to another state and somehow transmits virus, or can't because he or she is sick and can't bring product from one place to another, that's all impacting us. And so I have a very, very kind of unfortunate, tenuous knot in my stomach from all of this analysis. I know that Yahoo Finance put out an article talking about how this is going to be kind of a little blip in this quarter, and that we'll see a rebound after that. And so I just don't buy it. I'm very, very realistic when it comes to the fact that we're going to have a prolonged economic downturn over the large, scale stuff, over the macro economic outlook. From your individual business's perspective, what you need to do is to figure out how you are going to make yourself flexible and adaptive in this state. That's my big concern for everybody, is how are you going to be flexible and adaptive in this state of constant change? And my stance is going to be get as much digital as you can. And we're going to talk about some of those things, like this article from Forbes. I'm going to try and bring this up on screen so you can see it with me. No, I want it to be bigger. There we go. So what we have here is an article from Forbes, and what they talked about was the 3 emerging e-commerce growth trends to leverage in 2020. And here are my thoughts on this. So of course, COVID-19 the pandemic has shifted e-commerce. We are seeing more and more e-commerce. I think that some of this will stick, some of this will stay. But the article enforced a couple of really interesting things, and I will put links to all of these in below the video, so you'll be able to access the articles that I'm talking about. But first and foremost, this is something I've been talking about for a long time. Now, the article is talking about this in a little bit more of a sophisticated fashion than I'm really talking about. So if you are a small business owner and you want to be able to do what they call personalized commerce, they're saying that's the next frontier. It has been the frontier. So I disagree with the idea that this is some grand new world. In essence, when you personalize someone's retail experience, whether that be in person or online, you're going to have a better sales result. And what they're talking about here is using technology to be able to display more personalization for visitors. So taking their browsing behavior, what they've done on the website, what they've done in terms of purchase history, understanding demographics, where they're coming from, that kind of thing, and changing the visuals of the digital retail experience for people. Now, from my perspective, I don't think you need to be that fancy in order to be able to get real results. When you look at your customers, think about them in terms of buckets. They are buckets of groups of visitors to your website. And what you need to do is you need to channel them down very quickly upon entry to your website. So if they come to your homepage and you have, say, maybe 3 general areas of people to whom you sell to, then to whom you sell. What you want to do is have 3 big options for those people to self-select into that digital commerce experience. From that point, then you now have the ability to say, well, if you want this kind of content, then you're going to go down this path. And it's a choose your own adventure book. This doesn't take it just doesn't take any special technology. All it takes is you just thinking about the intent of the buyer when they walk through your front doors. That is the front page of your website. And archetyping the site to lead them down customized content. So if you're selling to, say, school administrators, principals, to teachers, and then to parents, well, then you would have 3 different images on the front end of your website with some language that said, hey, are you a principal that's looking to buy X and Y for your school? You can then click on that image, and now that content is tailored for someone who's a school administrator, right? Budgets and discussion about learning metrics and that kind of thing. The center one, if you're selling to teachers, then that would be talking about helping you as a teacher save time while still getting your students educated well and being able to look good to your administrators. To the parents, you're speaking to their needs to be able to educate their children while saving time, saving money, and being a better parent. That's the kind of personalized commerce that doesn't take any special technology, but it does require you to think before you put content onto your site. So really give some consideration here to the personalized commerce space, because as you tailor that content to the people you're speaking to, that's going to increase your overall sales bottom lines. Okay. Then they talk about, and this seems remarkably obtuse to me, but they talk about social commerce through celebrity endorsements. I think in the small business space, that's all but you can ignore this. We're not going around finding celebrities, but in the sense of social commerce is the idea of selling directly on social networks or social platforms. And there is more of this. Right now we have Facebook shops, we have Instagram shops, and so on and so forth. So from that perspective, I think we are in a new paradigm, and I'm still developing my thoughts around how small businesses should be interacting and engaging on social commerce. I still think that there is a place for establishing authority and validity and brand, and there's a place for buying. And the two mix on occasion, and I think there's a place in social commerce for that. But for the most part right now, I'm very concerned about having a social network like Facebook, which owns Facebook and Instagram, control your entire digital retail experience. If they decide to shut you down, you go away, and so does your income flow. So having your digital retail experience offsite on your own website that you own and operate and you're capable of controlling means that even if Facebook shuts you down, you're not going to get your primary income flow, the spigot, just to be shut off on without your control. I'm still very concerned about that, and I'll continue to keep giving some guidance in that regard. And then finally, they talk about interactive product visuals. And I think this is actually really, really interesting in terms of things to think about. Something that I've been talking about for quite some time is this idea of putting in, like they talked about, 360-degree customer product visuals. And there are a couple of applications out there. One I'm bringing up on screen for you to see. This one's called Imagize, and you're actually capable of going ahead and creating three-dimensional videos. They're not videos, they're images that you can interact with and display the product. So in this case, Imagize gives you the ability to be able to take these photographs of your product, and then you can spin them around. People can interact with them and all kinds of fun things. And then here, this one's Web Rotate. Now, Imagize has a monthly fee. If you refer enough people, then you get a free account. You get discounts on the services monthly. So that can be very beneficial. Web Rotate is a free product up to, I think, 4 products that you can display on your site. And what I like about it is that you can, you don't need any specialized equipment. Just your iPhone or Android phone to be able to take photographs, and then the software stitches together the 360-degree view, and you can do it in 360 or 3D. So you can see here that it loads the 3-dimension, and you can see now I can rotate the image in 3-dimension. Okay, so this is incredibly rich media for you to be able to have your customers be brought into the environment so that even if they are not in person, they can still get a really great experience with your products, right? You want them to basically be able to have that kind of rich media interactive experience, even if you're live with them. This would be really helpful because then you can bring up on your screen the more kind of well lit, beautiful 360 product photography and give people a good experience behind it all. I think this is, as I said, free for up to 4 products, and then they charge some flat rate fee for the product, the software itself. So it ends up being something like $400, and then you own the software and you can produce as many products, presumably, as you want to. The one thing about WebRotate is that they have plugins for the various platforms. So if you're on WooCommerce with WordPress, Magento, they've got Shopify and Joomla and Squarespace and Weebly and Wix. So they have these plugins built for major e-commerce platforms. So it's really nice to be able to have in terms of that. So just wanted to kind of give you some background in terms of that third frontier that they really were talking about in terms of really what we should be thinking about in terms of e-commerce, right? We should be thinking about personalization. You can use all kinds of really fancy software, but really just think about the way your site is archetyped. Think about social commerce. How is it that you're going to sell directly on social media? Are you going to put links to products directly, right? So in Facebook pages, you can have a link where you can take people directly to a shop that's offsite. Or are you going to have the Facebook shop or Instagram shop directly on there? Are you going to do trunk shows or product demos on your Facebook page and site in live streams, like this kind of live stream? And are you going to be able to do more interactive product visuals if you're in the consumer product space, or if you're doing any kind of product sales? How are you really going to do that? Okay, all right. Moving right along, I wanted to just note that WordPress has finally released WordPress 5.5, and so I know a lot of you listening and watching are using WordPress, and I'm a big WordPress fan. Being that we host WordPress websites, obviously that's the case. But 5.5 brings just a couple of really, really powerful features. One is it brings lazy loading to images. So if you are trying to get your site speed up, this is a really great way to do that for users. So what happens is with lazy loading, it means that it doesn't load the images. It puts the placeholder space in the page as it's loading, but then it loads the images only when the person scrolls up to that point of the page and actually wants to consume that content. So it knows how to display that loading of content so it doesn't weigh down the page. So someone who loads the page, they're going to see the images only that need to be seen at that time until they scroll up. Next, they have finally in 5.5 added sitemaps. So now you don't need a third-party plugin in order to produce a sitemap. If you don't know what a sitemap is, it's kind of the table of contents for your website that you tell Google and the other search engines how your site is structured and what pages you're putting up and how often you're updating those pages. So those Google and Bing and so on and so forth look at the sitemap as a vehicle for you to communicate with them what you want to be seen in the search engine. It's very, very powerful. And if you don't have your sitemap, syndicated to Google Search Console and to Bing Webmaster Tools and to the other search consoles, make sure that you go ahead and do that. And now in 5.5, it just produces it for you, and you can go ahead and do that. And last but not least, I think this is probably the most powerful feature in 5.5, is now you can do automatic updates for plugins and themes. And so now you can say, I want you to just update all plugins and all themes anytime a new plugin update or theme update comes around, and 5.5 gives you that functionality. So very, very cool. Moving right along, I might have noticed this, talked about this a few weeks ago, but if I hadn't, I'm going to talk about it now, which is that Dropbox has launched a password manager, computer backup, and a secure vault technology in their product suite, and so now it's available. So if you use Dropbox, then you have this new ability to have a password manager built in. Now, am I a big fan of Dropbox being my password manager of choice? Absolutely not. I am a 1Password. I'm sorry, a LastPass user. There's 1Password. There's Dashlane. There are bespoke password managers that do this really well. That's all they do, and so I trust their security more than I would trust that. And yes, Robin's noting that it's great that WordPress has updated to increase page speed and auto updates of plugins. Yes, it's awesome, and yeah, thank you for commenting, Robin, and always good to see you. And so the Dropbox password manager is better than nothing, though. And that's kind of how I look at it. From a computer backup perspective, I think that's great that we have computer backups now. Because it's just good for all of us to be doing some level of backups. I'm hopeful that this is true backup and not just redundancy. There's a difference between doing a backup, which is a snapshot in time. Redundancy is like synchronization, right? So I might synchronize documents through Dropbox on multiple devices, but if I delete it in one place, it's deleting in the others. Backup is that there's a space or a gap in time between when it was backed up, so that if something were to happen, I could go to that backup and find it in some past time. And people sometimes conflate the difference. But if this is true backup, that's helpful if you're on the Dropbox platform. We're a Google shop, so we're using G Suite to back up our devices, and we have external what we call cold storage backups, which means that we're doing full backups of our systems and then disconnecting that from the internet. So if there's some kind of ransomware attack or anything like that, we're not particularly concerned because we have those in a tertiary non-internet connected space. And so just consider that as you're moving forward. And then of course the secure vaults is a type of password protection space, so that you can go ahead and protect files from things like hacking and so on and so forth. You'd have a PIN associated with these documents, so you could put sensitive tax documents and other kinds of things in there. Again, I'm not a big Dropbox user. I have accounts, but we don't really use Dropbox as much. But I just wanted to put it on people's radars that it's available and whatnot. Moving right along is yeah, let me skip some things because we're running out of time, and I just want to make sure I cover the news. And so let's hop over to our updates for social media. So I apologize. I've been gabbing about all these other things, but there is some really important social media news that's out there, and maybe some of this will actually get pulled over into next week's episode as well. So I will do a social media news continued in next week's Web and Beyond Live. But I did want to cover what I can cover in the last few minutes we have together. Twitter has rolled out the ability for you to see your direct messages in your normal Twitter web interface. And so what happens now is you have the ability to go ahead and open up the Twitter web interface, and right there in the bottom right-hand corner, you will now see a little window. I can't open it for you because I have private messages in there, but there in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, you click on the little button and you'll see a little drawer open up, a little window open up, where you'll see your current DMs, and you can go ahead and do that. LinkedIn has made an announcement that they're going to be cutting 960 jobs from their workforce, which represents about 6% of it. So LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, but I guess because of falling demand in their recruitment and sales components of LinkedIn, they are slimming their global sales and talent acquisition teams. So this is just one of those unfortunate parts of the puzzle that is going to get some trimming, and hopefully once this is all over, those jobs will rebound. Hootsuite has brought the ability for you to go ahead and be able to schedule Instagram stories. So you can actually design Instagram stories now in the Hootsuite interface. You can schedule them, and then it will pass that content to the Hootsuite mobile app. And in the Hootsuite mobile app will then allow you to launch Instagram's mobile application on, by a prompt. You can say Tuesday at 10 a.m. I want to be able to post this Instagram story. It will then prompt you in the app. It will then launch the app for you, and you can open it up and do the scheduling. So Instagram, because of their API rules and Hootsuite following them very closely, is not able to schedule Instagram stories completely directly. But now you have this facilitated approach where you can do part of it, which is really great. I have been using an app called Storito, Storrito, and Storito allows you to actually, design, not design. So you can upload images. You can then apply stickers and polls and, tag people and so on and so forth on the Instagram story, and then schedule it out, and it will do the rest. So that has been a huge helper for me. There are several other applications that do that. The way in which they do it is kind of skirting the Instagram rules a little bit by, I'm presuming what they do is they have a pool of devices, and those devices are logging into the account and then actually doing the software part on top of an actual phone that is emulated. So there is software out there that can do it. I'm hoping that Instagram, that is Facebook, relinquishes their tight control over Instagram stories so that we're able to actually do these from a desktop very easily in the future through something like Hootsuite, so we can centralize those tools. But at the present moment, we're not able to. Okay. Next up is I just want to quickly cover the Facebook updates to the platform, and then next week I'm going to do the rest of our news because there's just so much here that I just didn't have time today to get through it all. So Facebook is doing several things on the platform regarding Instagram Shop and Facebook Pay. So what this is that we had Facebook Shops launch. Now we have Instagram Shop, and in essence, you can now sell products directly through Instagram. And we've talked about that a little bit. You can take your pre-existing e-commerce platform, or you can create a catalog within the Facebook Business Manager. And once you have all of those products in your Instagram account, you can then submit your shop for review. Then they approve it. And so whenever you enable shopping on it, you will then have shopping tags and stickers that help you kind of get that into your feed on your Instagram posts and in your stories. So this is very, very powerful for those who have a very active and engaged Instagram following. So I'm very interested to see how that works. I have not seen a lot of information about Facebook Pay, and so I'll be doing some research over the next several weeks about how Facebook Pay is going to be working in tandem with Instagram Shop and your Facebook Shops platforms, in the sense of being able to allow people to pay directly through the Facebook interface and platform. You've gotten some new emojis on Facebook Messenger, and so there's some new updates there, not particularly in the suite of things that I care too much about, but in Facebook Messenger, you are now capable of using your fingerprint or face authentication using the app lock. Okay, so now you'll be able to, when your phone is unlocked but app lock is on, Messenger will no longer show your content without you then unlocking the application. And so I'm very, very excited to have that level of security, because if you are handling business and client data and you're using Facebook Messenger on your website, right, you want to be able to get that secure so that your client data isn't leaking should your phone be sitting in the cafe and someone takes it. You want to be able to have confidence that your client communications are not being utilized. It's currently going to be available on iOS, and they said that Android will be rolling out in the fall. I don't know what the fall means. Time seems to just be weird to me right now, but I'm guessing that's September, October, November timeframe for Facebook. Now, which is really cool, you are now able to screen share in the Messenger mobile application. So this is going to be really, really powerful for those who want to be able to screen share with clients content. right? So say that you want to be able to show a client a document and go over that document with them. Now, if you are an active Facebook page user and you have Facebook followers who are potential clients, you can now actually do product demos if you're showing them something on your mobile screen. And so this is actually really powerful. You'll be able to show photos with friends and that kind of thing. But I feel like there is a potential business element here for that. If you're batch uploading posts to Facebook, now you have some new layouts. So the platform has been testing out these new visual layouts of content. So check them out. Just go to apply a new post, and when you go ahead and upload multiple images, you'll be given all of these fun new layouts based on the sizes of images and when they're portrait, landscape, that kind of thing. And that's going to be fun there. Okay, I have a lot more to talk about regarding social media news, but we've reached the top of our time together, so I want to be respectful of our time together. And so I will do a part 2 next Monday, where we're going to cover more news that happened this week, and then we will cover the balance of our social media news for what I was going to talk about for the rest of this week. Just a couple of notes here. Robin from Startup to Growth has noted that she's concerned specifically about Main Street merchants across America. And some are pivoting and doing okay, and many rural areas are still all but ignoring the digital space for sales. And absolutely, Robin, I think we really need them to focus on bringing themselves into this hybrid space where they navigate both online and offline retail sales in a very similar fashion. They need to be able to really be nimble to be able to jump back and forth between the two and bring those together. And she noted that many restaurants are being hard hit by the pandemic in small towns, and her services clients, on the other hand, have been really good to pivot. So it sounds like that's really great to hear, and I'm very thankful that they are paying attention. And so I want to really see everyone succeed in this environment, and that means being able to have a hybrid approach to their marketing. They can't just be solely offline today. They need to be able to have some level of online presence, and that may mean different products, different services online than offline. It may even mean having a completely different business from the retail business in order to be able to make things work. You just have to kind of be mindful of that in those regards. So with that brings us to the end of Web and Beyond Live today with you. And so I thank you all for joining me here for Web and Beyond Live. If you've enjoyed the live stream, feel free to hit the thumbs up icon. That helps us make new small business friends. And so thank you for doing that. If you have a question, feel free to leave a comment on the video. You can also go ahead and tweet or direct message me at W3Consulting, at W3Consulting on Twitter. I'm here most every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, US, and we'll note if it's another time via our social channels if we do have to change the time. Thank you so much for spending Web and Beyond Live with me. I'm Ray Sidney Smith on behalf of W3 Consulting and W3C Web Services. Have a great week ahead, marketing and managing on the Web and Beyond. Take care, everybody.